Hi, this is Dr. Tonya Sanders, and I'm doing the regular intro to our next video blog, which is number 14, I believe. And this one is about stress in schools. And basically, when I'm out at school districts, or Roger or Judy are out at school districts, we want to get a feel for what everybody's going through now or what they need. I guess the most important thing are needs. And if it's help with iPads, help with interactive boards, if it's help with a brand new device that you got that's trending, and it seems like a lot of districts are always trending in a certain tech tool or need for something, and it's usually in that same direction, like in annotating a PDF with Cami or something of that sort. Well, in our discussion, we kind of fell into this, and all of us kind of agreed that it's stressful out in schools now, and we can feel it, and we are experiencing it because we're out there working hand in hand with integration models and curriculum. And so this week's episode 14, is about stress in schools.
Stress, teacher stress, student stress, on top of COVID, of course, and the news media are hammering on the new variants and so forth, is the violence in schools, and just the overall environment we're working in. How we can help that with technology, suggestions we can give to folks. I don't have a great answer on that, but it would seem to be something to be worth talking about.
Yeah, the thing that I see, or I don't know, I always say I don't know if it's because of COVID and all the things that we had to work through, or if it's because of my older age. I just basically think we need to communicate more. I think that's the thing that's difficult, is that everybody's agitated, or everybody's struggling, or everybody is trying to implement something different. Instead of trying to cultivate a different kind of culture around all the stress, like you said, we're creating more stress by bringing in a new PBIS tool, or we're trying to implement this new software that no one knew we were going to get, and they don't understand why we're getting it, because usually we're consulted on that, but now we're forced to use this new thing. And I think that's got a lot to do with social, emotional, and PBIS, actually. But I think it can be cultivated differently.
I agree with you on that. And one of the things that I think is leading the stress in schools from a technology standpoint is companies are continuing to innovate. They're continuing to develop their products. They're continuing to roll out additional features that go along with classroom resources, some of them long established companies, and some of them that are brand new to the scene. And I think, my advice to tech coordinators and classroom teachers and administrators is, take a step back. You don't have to have the latest and greatest. Let's look at the basics. Let's just get comfortable and make sure that everybody's getting your assignments listed, and that students know how to use their devices safely. And don't worry about staying up with what the most recent evolution is of whether it's reading software or math software or whatever it might be. And related to that, and Judy and Tonya, I'd encourage you to talk about this a little bit, is we know that there's been learning loss. We know that kids are not where they at. A fourth grader today is not where a fourth grader would have been 2 years ago. And I don't want to say we give up on, recovering those losses, but we just recognize that, when you're worried about grandma dying, or whether we're going to have a shooting in school today, or the violence you see on TV, or the tornadoes that pass through the country, when you've got all these other things on your mind, it's hard to focus on, math addition and we just have to, continuously reassure our students, as we come out of the holidays, and we get into, the dark, literally dark days of winter from a physical standpoint.
Right.
Just that we do that reassurance, and it's okay to not be the latest and greatest. Tonya, Judy, what do you guys think about that?
I totally agree. I mean, there's just schools, I mean, like being off, the teachers are needing some extra just downtime, and parents and the media are really slamming them because they're over behind. And, some schools, the 17th of December, this Friday is the last day that they're going to be in session until January, which, when we were all in the classroom, we never had that kind of break. So I'm hoping that might be one thing that will help, the teachers to recover, and the students. I think the students are equally affected. So.
Yeah, kind of one of the integration projects that we're working on at one of the districts, or that I'm working on, and Roger's giving me a lot of feedback, because it's upsetting to me, and it puts me in kind of a mood, and I'm not, I love my
I can see you wringing your hands on the monitor here. Yeah.
Yeah, I know, and I'm
I
just
can
like,
see your tension.
it's just, and I'm not even on their payroll. I'm with NWOET, and it's just, I go in there, and we have kids that come into third grade tech time that can't read, that don't know their alphabet, because of, maybe not because of last year, but a combination of things, because of last year and online learning. And there's many things based on research that we could probably have a big discussion on some districts and why students are struggling. But, we're trying to implement a certain curriculum, which is probably a no-no from our perspective too, with these students. And these students already have challenges, we still have to move forward, but, like I've been telling the integration specialist that I'm helping, we just need to keep moving forward efficiently and at a pace that's good. We don't need to cram all these skills down the kids' throats and say, you got to learn this, and you got to learn this. Did you learn this? And I said, we can still have fun. Like, we're doing a Christmas shopping list, and it's helping the students work on right-clicking and dragging and dropping and copy and pasting and search criteria, depending on what grade level you're in. And we're also working on building a snowman with the little kids, in Google Slides. So they have to copy the big circle and paste it to another one, or drag it to the next slide, or, all the techniques that we're trying to teach the kids. And she's like, we're not done yet with the one group, but we are with the other. And I'm like, you still keep moving them forward, but don't, kind of be kind to them in this way that just like, we get it, you're still trying to log in because you don't know your alphabet. We got you logged in. That's good. And we started to implement we call it tech support for the kids. Like one of the kids comes in kindergarten through 6th grade. We put a little badge on them around their neck, and they're the tech support. So they walk around and they help their peers, and so they can help them log in, and they don't have to have any skills whatsoever. Everybody gets a chance to be tech support, and the tech support is our little helper for that day. We teach them a skill, and then they go teach the kid, and it's working because we're working together. And I think that's what I feel is different about districts when I walk into them, is that a lot of people are doing this instead of this. And it really hurts my heart, because I really love our work and I love working with the people we work with, but it's disheartening to see people fighting and saying mean things and sending awful emails. And I'm like, what is wrong that people think it's okay to say that in all caps in an email to a parent, to a child, to me? I'm just like, I just don't understand where people are going here. And instead of us pulling them in and saying, what's going on? Let's talk about this. Someone else butts back at them. And then we have this, this whose horns are bigger than whose horns and who gets shoved back the furthest. And it spirals out of control. And it's difficult for me to be in that kind of environment. And I'm sure it's difficult for the teachers, the students, everybody involved. So.
Yeah, so on an encouraging note, so what do we do about this? What do we do as individuals, as NWOET supporting our districts? What do we do to make it better? Judy, thoughts?
I'm just really glad that Tonya has the opportunity to work in the schools, because that's one thing I really miss recently, is that we aren't in the schools the way we were in previous years, working along with the teachers, because we do so much remote teaching. And I think that's the problem with a lot of the teachers and the administrators. It's a different world, because they seem to rely on emails and texts and things like that. And for some reason, people think it doesn't matter how you behave in those. And we need to stress to our schools that it means maybe even more than face-to-face being criticizing them. And so I think that's where we can come in, is that we've got to stress kindness, the social emotional. I mean, that is no more important. It's more important than it ever was before, I think. And
Yeah.
I had to look up actually what PBIS stood for, Tonya. Positive behavioral interventions and supports. You hate to bring a new system into people, so I think we just gotta, use some good old-fashioned language about how being kind. You got to be kind. I mean, you got to think about people's feelings.
Yeah, you brought up a really good point, Judy. I think the experiences I'm having, people are stuck in limbo. They're not necessarily, we're face to face, but they're not necessarily 100% there, because there's a lot of kids quarantined, or a lot of kids that are at home. And so they're living in this digital world, trying to continue to do what we did in the quarantine, which some teachers didn't know how to do that efficiently and effectively. And now they're back into the classroom, and that causes this contention between, I'm face to face, but now I got to do this thing online. And the solution, to go back to Roger's question, is one, give the teacher, I don't even know which order this should be in, give the teachers the skills to be able to do that in a productive way that benefits both the kids that are home and the kids who are physically in your classroom. I have a lot of teachers who are still making photocopies, 20, 30 copies, 100, 200 copies of all their worksheets and hand, because the kids just like to have the physical. But now what do I do for these kids that are quarantined? There was one class the other day, they had a class of 15 and only 6 kids were there because the rest of them were quarantined. So I'm trying to transition them from, even when there's no pandemic or no quarantine or any of this kind of stuff, you should be utilizing Google Classroom or Schoology or whatever program you're using at Learning Management System, and digitize that worksheet, put it online. And the districts I'm in, I'll teach your kids how to use the tool to fill them out. It's basically a substitution. They used to use their pencil. Now they're going to use Kami or DocHub, or they're going to use something else to fill that out, instead of making the copies. And now your quarantine kids have this digital copy online. The quarantine kids can do the same thing there's no difference between how you're teaching. Now you can go back to the comfort of face to face, but also know and be confident in the fact that you have those materials all ready for the students who are quarantined. And then the second part is just, we need to be kinder to each other and communicate more and come up with a positive solution, instead of creating this fighting environment, this negative environment that just makes you feel, depressed when you walk out, just like, I can't wait till, when's the next break? I can't wait till Christmas. When's we got the next 3-day weekend. When's that? When's the next 4-day weekend? We can't be looking forward to the next time of relief. We need to create some kind of relief within the environment that we're working in.
So Tonya, I know we're getting near the end of our time for today's vlog. I don't think there's any better advice from the technology standpoint than do the digital copies. It's going to help you now. It's going to help for those students that are remote for whatever reason. And down the road, a year or two or three, as we continue to come out of this, those resources are going to be there to help you work with your kids and just to help us move forward. And Judy, as you said, it is so easy to misinterpret it, even when we're face to face. You know, what did you really mean by that? And when you put it online, you know, people take, you know, just a phrase. You might have 3 paragraphs, and somebody will just focus on a little phrase where it's like, you know, those cookies would have been better if they had a little bit of extra ginger in it. But it was a wonderful meal, you know, and we focus on the cookies needed more ginger, not it was a wonderful meal. I was so glad to be with you. You know, we look for those little things, and it's like, you know, it's like, okay, you know, and this is true within the classroom. And forgive me, you know, administrators, tech coordinators, classroom teachers, parents, but you know, it's like, if there's a little something wrong, oh well, you know, we're going to survive. We can get past it. You know, let's look at the bigger picture. And overall, you know, things are going better than you think. I really truly believe that. And I'm glad that we've had a chance to share some of our tips with you today. Staying positive, do the digital. And if you've got a question about anything, you know, call us. We're not going to try and push you to some new technology that you've never seen before. You know, just ask us any question. 800-966-NWOET, call or text us, and email nwet@nwet.org. We're here to help.